All right, Garrett's asking to join. Let's see if he pops up. There he is.
dia.
Buen dia.
Yeah, Garrett.
Hi, y'all.
How y'all doing? All right.
Well,
Good. Well, we've got audio. We've got everybody here. I think we'll go ahead and get started. So how this is going to work is I'm going to do some introductions with some bios, and then we'll pass it on to the presenter. So good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Vredenburg. I work with the City of Sarasota Sustainability. I'm the Sustainability Program Educator, and I'm happy to present this panel, Reclaim, Renew, and Recycle. I have the honor of this being my 4th year working on the Sustainable Communities Workshop from the background. So we meet after month to plan this, and you know, it's been an interesting year trying to go virtual, but by the number of people attending, we'd say so far it's been a success. Just as on the main stage presentation, please use the chat function on the right side of your screen to ask any questions that you might have. And what we'll do is we'll answer those questions at the end of this session. So we'll let all 3 panelists give their little presentation, and then we will go to a question and answer session. So without further ado, I'm going to read the bios and then we'll kick it off. So David Rachelson is Rubicon's Chief Sustainability Officer. He's been leading sustainability efforts focused on achieving the company's mission to end waste and recycling metrics of customers, engaging with sustainability departments to deliver solutions, and driving company-wide reporting and ESG efforts. Before Rubicon, Rachelson was a consultant with PwC and a member of the Corporate Responsibility and Public Affairs Department at Intercontinental Hotels Group, IHG, where he worked on IHG's Green Engage platform to provide tailored and cost-effective sustainability solutions. After David, we'll have Garrett Cadou, who's a zero waste consultant and director of the Florida branch of Precious Plastic, a worldwide open source DIY recycling community. They aim to educate people about the ubiquitous substance known as plastic in hopes to reduce its misuse and amplify its creative upcycling value. Garrett is a Sarasota native, Pineview and FSU alum that went from marketing and video production world of Los Angeles to living years off-grid in the jungles of Costa Rica. There he discovered permaculture to be the only reasonable solution to humanity's waste addiction, and has returned to his hometown to share these revelations. And then we'll have Sophia Riesen. She's 16 and a junior in high school. Schools at the State College of Florida. Additionally, she's a 3rd-year high school intern at Mote Marine Laboratory here in Sarasota, and is a high-ranking member in SCUBAnauts International. She's a certified scientific scuba diver and does coral restoration, coral disease surveys, fish population counts, and benthic transects with SCUBAnauts. Sophia has a love for the ocean and is very passionate about advocating and teaching others about what makes this planet blue. So without further ado, David, if you want to kick us off. And I believe you're sharing your screen. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen in a second. You know, thanks so much. And Garrett, I didn't know you lived in Costa Rica. My wife is Tica, so been down there a few times.
Pura vida.
Pura vida, that's right, that's right. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. And I'm going to just share my screen right here. Believe I can, and if not, I will. I'll go ahead and dive in since it's not allowing me to share the screen at the moment, but I can still go ahead and do the presentation without it. And so essentially, what I wanted to talk about now is to set the stage about why we're even having this conversation, and what that means in terms of the global a challenge related to waste, and why it's such a major issue. But before I dive into that, wanted to just give you all a quick high-level overview of Rubicon and what we do as a company. So Rubicon we are a certified B Corporation. We have a really well-known and stated mission to end waste. We're a software company, and that's how we ultimately deliver on this mission. And what we do is we connect and sit at the intersection of waste generators, companies, cities, businesses, large and small, and this vast network of hauling businesses. And we connect them all. And since we're asset light, and we have our B Corp mission to end waste, we really look to find non-landfill and more circular solutions for waste at scale. So we're really at the end of, at a high level, where all of this circular economy ambition meets the road. We're working with, district managers, general managers, people who have P&Ls, people who are really focused on perhaps other things at their specific location, but are simply trying to figure out how to achieve these goals. So we do that throughout North America and globally. We have about 3.3 million service locations, 7,000 vendor and hauling partners. We're in all 50 states, 22 countries, and we're pretty robust on our patents and through the technology space. But really, why is waste and such an important topic? And the way that I like to really think about it is there's three different impacts of waste, some of which may not be as evident to people. But the first is the waste and air intersection. So it's not as well known of a fact, but landfills are the third largest industrial emitter of methane gas. And that's a greenhouse gas 25 to 30 times more potent than what comes out of our automobiles. Moreover, if you look at the share of commercial greenhouse gas emissions in that sector, 32% of it comes from landfill and waste services. So in short, the less you landfill, the less you emit. And so really focusing on structured solid waste programs not only helps, a lot of the other aspects of the circular economy and the environment, but it has a very tangible impact on the air and air quality. And the next thing is, and I won't talk much about this because we have Sophia and others, but there's a wastewater intersection. And I'll pretty much leave it at that, but we know that ocean plastics are growing at an alarming rate. And that's really the result of this linear economy where you take a natural resource, you make a product, and then you throw it away. I mean, there's no value in the materials. There's no really thought about, what is this material? It had a use before. What can be the next use? What can be the next life? What can be the next iteration? And then the third area, which is probably more commonly thought of, is really the natural resource impact of waste. And it goes back to what I just said earlier about the linear economy. But if we live in a world where we throw something away right at the end of its use, then we're just going to keep using natural resources, mining, cutting down trees, you name it. And it's really putting a strain on the earth. There's something called Earth Overshoot Day. And that's essentially something where it marks the date when humans demand for their ecological resources and services in a given year exceeds what the earth can regenerate in that year. And this date is getting moved more and more forward. Yeah, thank you. Here's the slides. And so that's something that, we all want to stop. And again, this circular economy where you find value in waste and you move it, you continue to reuse and repurpose items is really core to that. Next slide, please. So I'll start to wrap up here because I want to make sure my co-participants have some time to talk and we have some time for Q&A. But this is really a few examples of how we at Rubicon bring it to life and really why this panel and just the whole circular ecosystem is so important. So on the upper left, Rubicon works with Chipotle, and we had a really exciting project with them where the gloves that they were using in their restaurants were going to a landfill, and there wasn't a solution readily available. And one of the challenges with the circular economy is that, with the exception of recycling, the solutions aren't at scale. So what we believe at Rubicon is, how can we be essentially a circular market maker? And so we connected essentially the supply that we have by managing all of Chipotle's waste and recycling with a upstart company out of Arkansas that had a solution for these gloves, and we're able to repurpose them, keep them out of landfills, and really extend the life of those materials. So that is something very important when you think about the circular economy, which is we need to help leapfrog innovation and technologies, because recycling is so important to the solution, but it's also not the most the most advanced way to be circular. So the more of these companies that start, the more that Rubicon can help instigate them and provide them supply. It's very useful. The middle tile there is about our work with Best Buy, and this is just where this is a brass tacks example. There is so much opportunity in business operations that is not always being utilized. And what that means in this case is that the hauling schedules were inefficient. So air was essentially being hauled. So we've worked with them to optimize the hauling schedule to hit the Department of Transportation road ton weights, which creates less vehicle miles and saves costs. There's also work around cardboard and how do we optimize the value in it? How do we divert more? How do we sort more? How do we get better commodity rebates from them? So this is a real focus on just the operations at thousands of locations. And then the last one I'll talk about here before I wrap up is this is a real exciting one. It's related to organics circularity. And so one of our customers had some expired milk, and typically that's just thrown away. And when you say thrown away, it means it's going to a landfill. But them and us really didn't want to stop there. Part of our mission to end waste and really just wanting to find new solutions, we were able to find an organics farm that we've been working with, a dairy farm that we've been working with to essentially take this expired milk and put it in what's called an anaerobic digester. And that's something that replicates intentionally a landfill, and it captures the methane gas and creates renewable energy. So ultimately, this milk, which would have gone to waste, became renewable energy, became fuel for this dairy farm. So these are some examples about the circular economy coming to life. But why I'm so excited to be on this panel is that like what I just talked about was a very macro view of the waste, recycling, circular economy. But my co-participants are the ones who are the very, focused, surgical. I mean, they are really on the ground making these things happen every day. And, waste is so much different than water or energy. Water and energy, you can almost solve for the person. You can put a sensor, you can, put insulation, you can do a lot of things to help mitigate, poor energy or water use. But when it comes to waste and recycling, every one of us are the ambassadors that have to make a decision. Do we purchase something that maybe isn't sustainable? And when we throw something away, do we throw it away in a manner that allows it to continue and create more sustainable outcomes? And lastly, that's essentially what I just said here. but it takes all of us. This is a moment for ESG, for sustainability, and I look forward to hearing from both Sophia, Garrett, and any of the participants who may have questions. It's an honor and privilege to be here today. And I'll pause there, but definitely look forward to continuing the dialogue. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, David. Really appreciate that presentation. All right, next we have Garrett, and I think I'll kick it over to you, Garrett. I'll stop sharing my screen here, and I think you're gonna try to get some video going. So,
yeah,
Garrett, Cadou, go ahead.
Thank you so much, David and Jeffrey and Sophia. I'm so happy to be on this panel with you guys discussing the circular economy, or sometimes as I jokingly refer to it as recycling, but for real this time. We need big solutions when it comes to our waste problem. And as I'm trying to share screen right now, I will show you guys. So our project is called Precious Plastic. And when I refer to it as our project, I'm referring to an association of about 70,000 people on a social network that communicate through Discord, through forums, through Instagram, and all sorts of different ways. And we have a central project based out of the Netherlands, actually out of Eindhoven, which is the design capital of the Netherlands. I was actually able to visit 2 years ago. And one of the main things that we do is educate people about the different types of plastic and build machines that can actually allow people to have a recycling factory in their garage. The project has been going for about 6 years now. I have in my hand some of the precious plastic hexagonal tiles that are were part of the first version, where people could download the plans on how to make these tiles for free online, and the plans on how to build the machines as well. Really trying to share my screen here, Jeffrey, but it just seems to be X'd out.
If you click on it, does that allow you to do it? Or if you might refresh the browser window, and that might allow you.
Bear with me
for just a second, and then you'll be back. Bear with us while he tries to do this.
anything. Okay.
Now it's down. If you see, it's a computer monitor square and with a red line through it. If you click that,
There we go.
Window.
All right. I feel like I'm able to share. Okay. Awesome. So this is the kind of the connective tissue of the Precious Plastic project. This is our map. And this is really what drew me to the project in the first place, because I was traveling a lot in my late 20s, and I wanted to see where my friends were at. And as great as Facebook is, it doesn't allow you to really map people the way that this does. And the great part about this is it's like a recycling friends finder. So I'll go ahead and take some of these off, and you can see each one of these flags represents a different precious plastic project. Here we have some people over in West Africa. Here we have some people in the Caribbean and Santa Barbara. As you can see, Europe is just completely covered with it. So these are people that have started building these machines, recycling plastic in their communities on a small scale. Lots of people moving up to a larger scale and making cool products that they actually can sell on our online bazaar. And now that I can share my screen with you all, I'm going to play a little video here to... This gets tricky because I'm trying to... Here we go. Okay. Let's see. All right. Can you guys see this?
We can.
All right, this is a little humor from my video editing days here.
I just want to say one word to you. Just one word.
Yes, sir.
Are you listening?
Yes, I am.
Plastics.
Plastic bottle.
Plastic waste. An ocean of plastic trash.
Plastic.
Plastic. Plastic. Plastic.
Plastic.
Plastic.
Plastic.
Plastic. Plastic is, well, it's everywhere.
So I guess by now you are quite aware of this big plastic waste problem. But all of this isn't really waste. With some love and care, the right machines, and with the right techniques, you will see that's precious material. This new precious material can be turned into big colorful sheets to make stuff with, a brick to construct walls, small functional objects, or fancy furniture. We, the precious plastic community, develop tools and machines to recycle plastic. And we've been doing that for 6 years, open source for free. And now it's time to take it to the next level. This bottle is made from plastic. Actually, a lot of things we have are made from plastic. It's used everywhere, but it also ends up everywhere, damaging our planet. It's a precious material laying around everywhere for free. We could also turn this waste into something new. So we develop machines that enable everyone to work with plastic and start their own little factory. Waste is shredded in small flakes, which will be used to create something new. You can work freely with your hands, create new raw material, or make your own molds to set up a small production. We can turn plastic waste into something valuable. We love to see plastic getting recycled all over the world, so we share the blueprints of these machines online. But also step-by-step instruction videos, lessons about plastic, tips and tricks, and useful templates ready to download. The machines are specifically designed using only basic tools and low-cost materials that are available in every corner of the world. With this project, we want to try and boost plastic recycling by providing people the tools to get started, and they can all download it for free. Visit preciousplastic.com for more information and spread the word. About a year ago, we launched version 2. Many people got interested, liked, shared, spread. Millions of people were reached. Thank you for that. Hundreds even got started. Downloaded, cut, welded. Collecting, shredding, and making things from waste. Recycling plastic all over the planet. Using our machines, blueprints, and video tutorials to experiment, make products, and have some fun recycling. People started in Spain, Czech Republic, Argentina,
Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Chile,
Sri Lanka.
South Korea, Mexico City,
Taiwan.
And me, down in Costa Rica. Though I was still using a much more basic way of making bricks from plastic.
It's so funny
It is funny.
because you're smiling. Getting your bed, smiling your bed chair.
Claro, gracias, Batman. Gracias. Oh, this is really awesome.
Really? It's a good night.
It's a good night. I'm recycling that now. So this is our zero waste farm in Costa Rica, where the trash is kind of piled up on us. This is my friend Josh, who might actually like trash more than I do. He was the one who initially showed me the precious plastic video that you guys just watched with the machines and everything. And when I first saw that, I just knew that was going to be our solution. So I got to work on precious plastic about shortly after seeing that video in 2016. I kind of did the video in a little flashback way of showing you where the project has come now and where it started with just some small machines and people adding to it and the community and things of that nature. And then I actually came upon the project really full on when I went back to Los Angeles, where I had lived previously, to going down to Costa Rica. And I was really inspired because I'm going to show you the video right here. Can you guys see it? Okay, there we go. So this is a place called I'll let Marcus explain a little bit how the precious plastic map really activated our particular branch of the project in Los Angeles. And I'll let him do that explaining right here.
Because I put a flag on the Precious Plastic website that said we were a machine builder in Los Angeles, I got contacted by Parlay for the ocean.
We've got to avoid plastic. We've got to get it out of the ocean and reuse it. What if we took some trash and made a sports shoe out of it? And then we made 1 million more from 11 million plastic bottles.
They're like, we want to bring some of the precious plastic machines to an event in Los Angeles in a few weeks. Can you help us out?
747 is kind of conceived as the ultimate expression of the Adidas brand, sport, culture, style, creativity, and innovation all happening in one place in and around an amazing event like the NBA All-Star Week.
Then we had 10 days to build a shredder and 2 injectors. And we managed to get into this clean tech incubator where they had a machine shop. Probably about 10 different people that were helping us with this build that had a variety of different expertise.
We take grinded up PLA cups. You see the green writing from them into recycled pellets, which is the green.
There's actually a gentleman named Brian Chuck Chung who's pioneering bioplastic recycling in Los Angeles, and all the new transition from going from petroleum plastic to plant-based plastic is actually a lot more hazardous and could be an entire discussion on its own. But just showing you real quick, we were able to get these machines made in about 10 days at this facility in Los Angeles, and then rushed off to a big giant event for
stage that they have
NBA All-Star Weekend to essentially premiere our machines. And throughout the course of this weekend, 3 days we did it. There's our shredder right there, shredding up plastic cups. People would come up with their empty beer cups, drop it into the shredder, and then they would receive one of these beautiful little pendant keychains as a reminder of what they experienced there. And it was quite amazing to see people that had never been exposed to plastic recycling or anything sustainability, pretty much just a sneakerhead hip hop music crowd standing in line for 3 hours to receive one of these pendants. So after that, there's my Adidas keychain right there. We formed a relationship with Parlay and Adidas. So Adidas, as you saw from the video, partnered with a company called Parlay, and they created a shoe made out of ocean plastic. So they kind of towed us around to all their events, and we showed off our little plastic recycling demonstration as well. And I'll show you probably my favorite part of the whole weekend was when Kid Cudi was up on stage. And we have this little girl, the future, could care less because she's so interested in her pendant keychain that she's making. So they pretty much gave us the idea, or gave me the idea, that this could be a really fun event activation, going to festivals and street fairs. And I've even gone out to the Sarasota Native American Indian Festival this year. I went out to the Love Burn in Florida, and shredding people's waste from the event on site and giving them a memento to go home with. Obviously, we want to bring this to the next level. And how am I doing on time? Am I over, Jeffrey?
Yeah.
I'm over.
The next minute.
Well, if I have just one single minute, I will show you guys the most exciting aspect of the developments of precious plastic, which are going to be go. Yeah, I guess now it's not letting me share my screen again. So, so we are able to extrude entire beams and bricks now of plastic. That's part of the new development that you might have seen in the first video that I made, but I was going to go into more depth about how that process happens. And I'm actually prototyping the machine right now that is going to be able to do that. So hopefully we'll have more video coming soon, and go ahead and drop me your email if you'd like to subscribe to our newsletter and check out preciousplastic.com. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Garrett. I'll also plug in. Garrett's local here in Sarasota and just opened a new workshop, so I'm sure he would love a visit, so you could connect with him there. Next, we have Sophia. So, Sophia, if you wanted to share your screen, and
I'm gonna refresh the browsers.
Oh, she's going to share, so she just refreshed so you can share her screen. So let's give her just a second to come back in, and we'll kick it over to her.
Okay. It looks like I can share my screen now, so just 1 second.
All right.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Sophia Riesen, and my presentation is called Water Waste Through the Eyes of a Teen. So who am I? As you may have guessed, I am a teen. I'm 16. I am a junior in high school. I am homeschooled, but I dual enroll at the State College of Florida. Since birth, I have been a lover of the ocean, and through this passion, I've been able to do some pretty incredible things. First of all, I am a member of SCUBAnauts International, which is a scientific teen diving group for youth ages 12 to 18. We actually have a booth if you want to come visit us. Through SCUBAnauts, I have gotten my American Academy of Underwater Sciences certification, which is a certification that essentially allows me to do science underwater, and then share my results with scientists for them to use in their projects. I'm also a master diver, which is the highest certification of scuba diver that I can get at my age. And I am a third-year intern at Mote Marine Laboratory. So what have I done? So as a scuba diver, I have completed over 130 dives in 7 different countries and have spent close to 100 hours or around 4 days underwater diving in just over 3 years. The majority of these dives have been scientific dives and have included coral restoration and transplant with Mote Marine Laboratory and their Florida Keys nursery and outplant reefs, fish counts, benthic surveys, coral disease data and monitoring. And in total, I have created around 400 new coral fragments in Mote's nursery, which is the top right picture. And then I've outplanted around 50 to 100 coral fragments onto the reefs. So this coral work was all done with Mote, and it was done in a couple of separate trips down in the Florida Keys. I've also participated in many cleanups in and around the water in 4 different countries. I've led them, organized them, and just participated in general. And that's me with the interns in the bottom right picture. So what have I seen? So my family and I are avid travelers, obviously before COVID, and I've had the privilege of visiting 17 different countries. And most of the time when we go travel, we go to places that are near or on the ocean. And so through this, my family and I, we have seen an abundance of trash. And it is apparent that no matter where we go, no matter what country we're in, there's trash. We always pick up trash whenever we can, and we always dispose of it however we can. But sometimes that's not enough. Through my traveling, diving, and my many cleanups, I have seen a vast array of water waste. The obvious, which is fishing line, balloons, cigarettes, fish hooks, foam pieces of varying sizes, and of course, tons and tons of plastic. So, but I've also found a lot more interesting items, including grills, license plates, dolls, Legos, lots of shoes, cushions, roadwork signs, toothbrushes, and most recently a syringe. And all of those items share two common traits. The first being that they are man-made. They're made by humans. None of them are naturally occurring. And the second being that none of them belong in or near the ocean or any other waterways. So now, previously mentioned things I've mainly found on the beach and shoreline intertwined between seagrasses and sand, but I've also seen a lot while diving in the water. I've seen fish and sharks with tons of hooks in their mouths and gills dragging line behind them. The middle bottom picture is actually a fish that has a hook in its mouth with a line attached to it that was just off of Sarasota. It was actually still kind of alive, but I was unable to do anything to help it, which is pretty sad, but that's something that you see a lot for fish and for sharks. I've seen mass amounts of fishing line tangled around coral colonies, breaking them. I've found balloons miles offshore and have leaned over boats to grab them and bring them back with me. And I found plastic bottles, plastic cups, beer cans, and beer bottles all intertwined throughout the coral reefs. But again, none of this should be in the ocean. So why does seeing this scare me? Well, what I have seen scares me for a few main reasons. The first being that if I'm seeing so much waste in such a small area, such as a small location on the beach, how much more is there that we can't see? What out there have we not been able to see simply because we can't get to it and we don't know it's there? The second is how much more the second is when will the effects of the water waste be more drastically seen and felt? We obviously are affected by it even today. There's plastic being found in the fish that we are eating, but at what point will it get so bad that it affects us in a much more drastic way? The third is how much more time will it take for everyone to take this water waste and ocean pollution more seriously? There's people that simply don't see it as a problem and disregard it as something that needs help. So how long will that take to happen? And going along with that is what scares me the most is how much longer can the ocean handle being pumped full of trash? How long will it last until it's enough is enough and there's no going back? There's no more of us being able to save it. But let's put what's at stake here in different terms. So currently, water waste has the ability to deplete 50 to 80% of the oxygen produced that we all breathe. It would leave millions of people without jobs and it destroy economies in so many coastal countries and cities. Everyone relies on the ocean in some way, even if it's not directly, from food to entertainment to oxygen, the abundance of jobs. Everyone is somehow influenced by the ocean and the waterways around them. So what can we do? Obviously, we can't keep going the way that we are, so what do? So we can advocate for sustainability and programs that ensure that as a society, we are as sustainable as we possibly can be, which goes along with why you're here today. We can vote for people who acknowledge the threats of our waterways and ocean, the threats that our waterways and oceans are facing from waste and human impact, and who want to do something to help contribute to helping and fixing that. Next, we can pick up trash and dispose of it properly whenever we can, wherever we are. And it doesn't even have to be near the water for it to eventually impact our waterways and oceans. We can all begin to use plastic-free alternatives, staying away from single-use plastic. You know, it is now easier than ever to make switches from plastic to more sustainable products. They're more readily available and they aren't too expensive and they save you money. Next, we can all properly dispose of fishing line and hooks. Instead of just letting the line that you aren't using kind of fly around and get into our waterways or fly off a boat, dispose of it properly, collect it in a container that you can keep so that the line doesn't get into the water and hurt our fish. And finally, we can continue to educate ourselves and others on the severity of water waste and what we need to do in order to combat such a prevalent problem. With that, thank you.
Well, thank you, Sophia. I appreciate it. That's an awesome presentation. And we've got a few minutes here, so I'd like to do a lightning round of questions. And actually, we've had a couple of questions come through about how to get youth and how to get people involved. So maybe we'll start with Sophia, because you're probably most on the ground with that, and then to Garrett and then David about how we can get youth involved and get people involved and excited about this. So 20 seconds each.
Okay, so there's many programs. I'm located in the Sarasota area. There are a ton of programs that are dedicated for youth and getting youth involved and getting them to help. I personally know of a lot of resources, so if you're in the Sarasota area, contact me. I think if you click on my profile, my email's in there somewhere. I'd be more than happy to connect you with that. But really just educating the youth so that they themselves can make the decision to make a positive impact instead of being forced to do so. It's much more impactful when you want to do it yourself versus when somebody is telling you what needs to happen. So I think that's an important thing.
Thank you. Did you have a comment about that, Garrett, getting people involved?
Absolutely. That's really what Precious Plastic's all about. And it's kind of like a Plastaholics Anonymous support group that we have here, because it seems like a lot of us have the eyes to see this issue, and then a lot of people are just going about their daily lives. So open house, I'm hoping to have one of those before the end of the year at my new facility, where we can all meet up and talk about plastic and actually see the facility. I taught a module in Tim Rummage's class on sustainability at Ringling last semester, and really put it on a lot of the students that this is your guys' job to deal with, to design us out of this mess and to stop towing the company rope essentially with the create, consume, destroy linear economy. Cleanups are great. I will just say, you know, the mantra that's becoming associated with this idea is, if your bathtub is overflowing, do you turn off the faucet or do you grab a mop and start cleaning up? So as much as I love the cleanup efforts, I really want to turn off the faucet. And what I think is the best way to do that is by going on nature walks, plant tours of edible food forests, and showing kids the alternatives. I've yet to meet kids that didn't like fruits and berries. So that's a way to kind of hook them while they're young instead of giving them Mars bars and Reese's Pieces. So those are my solutions.
And David, I'll switch the question just briefly on you. Recommend for community members and youth to help encourage the changes that we're looking for? And we have a lot of community leaders on this call. So what would you recommend to us for doing that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think, I mean, and it kind of ties into the earlier question, and kind of my earlier point, which is that the community has so much power for solving this problem, because again, all of us are making decisions about our waste pretty much every second of every day or every few minutes. And so one step would be educating people on how to properly sort, how to properly recycle. It sounds basic, but there's an enormous amount of confusion about what can be accepted, what can't. So just fundamental knowledge sharing. And then beyond that, on the school side, we've done a lot of projects with schools where we do dumpster dives and waste audits and create, with elementary schools and middle schools, but just exposing people to the waste and helping them just understand it, and becoming more empowered. But that's absolutely so important. And the last thing I'll say is that, I have kids, and it's a topic that they do understand. They don't necessarily understand all that I do, but they know that I recycle, right? So it's a very good gateway into sustainability, because, kids understand it, they deal with it, you can create games around it, sorting. It's a lot more manageable than, power grids and water plants. This is a topic that can really be very important for the youth.
Great. Well, thank you to all three of you and for all of our attendees.